Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this September 23rd, a Monday. Thank you for tuning in. Well, listen, guys. How can I put this? I do a lot of shows each week. Oftentimes about 5 or 6. And each show requires research, time, and effort. Over the last month, my YouTube pay has dropped. I'm not going to say how low it is, but I can say that for my time I spend putting these shows together, I'm making roughly around $1.50 an hour. At this point, it's dropped big time. And it's been dropping. It's been slowly dropping over a period of time, but now it's dropped big time. So I have things I have to do too. I mean, I spend like 30 hours a week on these shows. And for me, $1.50 an hour is just like, it's getting ridiculous. And I'm saying to myself, hey, maybe next month it'll drop down to 75 cents an hour, 25 cents an hour, whatever. So the bottom line is I'm not going to disappear, but I'm going to be doing my shows on Sunday. And this is going to take a lot of the workload off, but at the same time, I want to stay there for you guys until the conclusion of the things that are happening happen. On here. So I'm going to be doing shows on Sunday. I'm going to do a show for the regular audience, you guys that watch, and for my members, I'm going to do a special show on Sunday. And it's going to be only viewed by members, so it's going to be two shows on Sunday. Show's probably going to be around 20 minutes, somewhere around that area, maybe 20 or 30 minutes. But it's also frustrating, this whole system that they got going right now for me. I'm used to the way things were before the year 2000, and I find that things are getting like today. As I'm driving in my car, and I had to go and stop in and get a little something to eat. I don't eat fast food that much, but I was in a hurry today. I had a lot of stuff to do. So, pulled into the fast food window, drived around the side of the restaurant, pulled into the fast food window, and I couldn't roll my window down. Why? Because the stupid power windows, the switch is broke, right? And the lady there, she was getting my food for me from the window of the drive-through window. She didn't realize what I was doing because I pulled ahead and had to open my door and reach out my door rather than roll my window down. I said to her, hey, these older cars, I said, with the hand crank windows, I wouldn't have this problem. And that's the tip of the iceberg. We're creating so many things in our society that are going to give us problems to try to... And a lot of these things were invented and brought to light because we wanted to solve problems. We wanted to make things easier for ourselves. So we put... cars as a perfect example, of all the garbage they put in them now. But everything in our life, like in your house and stuff, they'll bring out a new washing machine or something, and they'll make it so that you need to connect it to the internet, or they put extra switches and buttons on it to make it more convenient, and it just ends up breaking a lot quicker. And they're moving and progressing in this fashion, making things more and more complicated all the time. It's called planned obsolescence, and a lot of the things out there got planned obsolescence. In other words, they plan at the factory to make it so it's going to break on you as soon as the warranty expires. We're living in a junk throwaway society. You want to talk about cleaning up the Earth's environment and stuff? This planned obsolescence in an overall scale across all of the world, if you took a look at all the world and all the planned obsolescence and how much stuff becomes junk after 2 or 3 years and ends up in the landfills or after it just to our environment, this is like they know how to make stuff. And they used to make stuff good, stuff that would last, stuff that wouldn't break. So when you're buying a big appliance or a machine or a car or anything, a truck or anything, they used to engineer it so it lasts a long time. Now, everything they're making is junk. So that you'd have to go out and buy new. That's the whole idea behind it. But what's that doing to our environment? You want to talk about environmentalism? That's the way, is to make things that last. Rather than things that are going to be thrown out after 2 years and then have to be remanufactured all over again and end up in the landfill or in garbage or whatever. Just frustrating. And as far as all these wars are concerned around the world right now, I'm telling you guys, a lot of nuclear saber rattling. Russia had a big explosion with what's called a Sarmat, which is their most powerful weapon that they have. It blew a hole in the ground the size of a... Evidently, they're trying to launch it. They must have lit fuse to it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have went off. Like, it wouldn't have... They were trying to blast it off or something. I don't know what's going on, but it made an awful... Oh my goodness, guys, to take a look at the hole in the ground it made. There's a satellite imagery of it. Right in the center here. Where I'm holding that little cursor right there. That's where the giant, enormous hole. And it don't look like much from here. But that hole is like the Grand Canyon. I mean, we're looking up very high altitude, and it blew parts and pieces of itself all in the woods everywhere and lit fires. That's not a cloud over there. That's a fire in the north on the top side of the picture. Because this is a satellite imagery, that area is much bigger than you think, that round area where it blew up, you know. So, how's this going to affect? Because they've had several explosions of these Sarmat missiles. It's their top missile in their arsenal. And a lot of their other missiles are older stuff than the Sarmats. And so they're sitting there and they're looking at these explosions and they're already figuring, hey, you know what? Probably 80% of Russia's nuclear arsenal, this is what they're trying to point out. That their nuclear arsenal is... Does this change the would? My question is, I'm going to ask a question right now, is would this change the balance of power if 80% of the Russians' missiles are all a bunch of duds? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out about a lot of this stuff. The West says, what does it say here? A Russian aggressor will finally pay. So, you guys know I'm not in for any of this war. I don't like this war stuff that's going on. It's getting worse and worse. The battles are heating up over there in Lebanon right now. In Israel, they're firing at Hezbollah firing back at Israel. They're fighting over there. And you know the thing about all this now? They don't call them wars. They call them everything but a war, and everybody else out there starts calling it a war because everybody recognizes it a war, but they don't declare war anymore. There, focused. Okay. Now, we got a hurricane, guys. It's going to pass through that strait between the Yucatan Peninsula and the tip of Cuba as a hurricane. And the Gulf is incredibly hot this time of year. So, I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be the worst hurricane of the year. That's what I'm thinking to myself. The National Hurricane Center is saying it's going to be a dilly, too, and it's going to go right up through the center of Georgia. But by the time it gets into Georgia, after it passes through Florida, it's probably going to be downgraded into some sort of a tropical storm or tropical depression as it probably gets into northern Georgia. But Florida's going to take the brunt. It looks like it's going to hit somewhere around the Panhandle. I think the National Hurricane Center is saying 110 winds. I think that's what they were saying. But, you know, when it gets in that Gulf, between 8 a.m. Wednesday and between 8 a.m. Thursday, during that period in time, it's going to really pick up an awful lot of moisture because of the heat of the water this time of year. Now, we got the silver price today down 45 cents at $30.69. It's going to tread water until after the election, I think, along with gold and silver and cryptos. And then I think they're going to start to slowly move upwards, and I think that's going to pick up pace next year as inflation starts to come back again, roar back hot. And the U.S. economy's turning downwards as far as jobs, I think, are going to really hit hard, and I think I can't see them holding the real estate market up, and people are going to start to, at a certain point, lose confidence in their dollar. They know that they're going to start to know that next year, if they have to buy whatever they need to buy, it's going to cost a lot more. So when that happens, people start to look ahead, and they start to make, they'll start making, it's called a crack up boom. And always in the initiation phases of a crack up boom or a hyperinflation, there's a certain period in time where things actually do start to pick up a little bit again, because people start to say, hey, I got to go out and buy that now. Consumers start to, but a lot of the consumers in the United States are tapped out right now. But the consumers out there in the United States who have a little bit more money put away, they start to come into play again. As they start to see this effect of, I can't save money anymore. I got to go out and make that purchase this year because next year it's going to cost me twice as much for whatever I need. That effect starts to hit. And so that can actually pick the economy up a little bit, but you have to get into into their brains that they're going to have to pay more next year. And the only way that can happen is if inflation starts to get over 10%, even 15%, maybe up towards 20%. I'm talking about the real measure of inflation, or, you know, not their fake CPI numbers and stuff like that, or their fake numbers, but their fake numbers will be high. Then you're going to start to see people not putting off purchases. In fact, in the end stages of all this, it gets to the point where they want to spend their money as fast as they get it. That's when you see the hyperinflation. But you know, you got to go through what's called the acceleration phase first, which is lesser inflation. It's not hyperinflation. But we haven't experienced inflation as high as the acceleration phase would be yet. We haven't experienced the acceleration phase. Acceleration phase is when you're moving toward the hyperinflation. And it's going to be coming because it's math, guys. It's just pure math. Taking a look at cryptocurrency today, you know, you guys know what I mean by its math. It's the way that the system is created and established. It started with inflation right off the get-go. And it's been real slow over the years. I mean, you're slowly seeing prices go up. But when you take a look at a long period, like 20, 30, 40-year long period, then you see a big difference in prices. Just think back what you could pay for things like around the year 2000, and now 24 years later, what's it cost you? It's more than double. It's doubled in half again. Maybe even 3-4 times as much, depending on the item you're buying, just since 2000 till now. So when you start looking at it over a longer period of time, you can really start to see it, rather than focusing real close and you're only seeing minute movements in the price. Like, you know, you might go to buy something and it's up a, maybe it's a can of beans, you know, and it's went up 10 cents. Well, that's no big deal. But come back 5 years from now and you'll see the price has doubled or tripled. It's math. It's the way the system is structured. They always have to keep borrowing new debt into existence to pay off the old debt, and because they never created the currency to pay the interest on the debt. It's a system that's set up that always yields higher and higher and higher inflation, and they love that. They love that because it's a hidden tax that you're going to have to pay. So crypto is up today at 63,357. Ethereum's 26.54, and XRP's 58 cents. Stock market today, the S&P 500 is up 14 points at 5,717. The Dow Jones is 42,117. It's up 54 points. And our crude oil is up 22 cents at 71.22. Taking a look at our bonds today, we got rising yields. 30-year is at 4.08. It's up 1.5 basis points, and the U.S. 10-year is up 1.7 basis points at 3.74. And finishing off with our dollar index is at 100.87. So I'm still going to be doing shows for you guys. I'm going to change them over on Sunday, and I'm not going to put as much time in. It's not going to take me as much time. Instead of 30 hours a week making shows, it's probably going to be more like, for me, more like 5 hours or 4 hours making shows, you know. It's just the times we live in. Everybody has to get along, and I can't continue to keep putting in long hours working on a lot of shows each week when I'm only getting $1.50 an hour for it, you know. And I'm not gonna sit here and try to figure out exactly what the reason for that is. But all I know, that is the way it is. And I really appreciate my audience out there. Appreciate you guys. You've stuck with me for a long time now. And I hope to be around on here for a while longer, you know. But we're living in a weird world right now. You just got the feeling. Everybody out there has got the... Everybody knows it. If you are actually a denier and you've got that feeling inside something's going to happen, that the world's on the edge, something's going to happen, you don't know what it is, but you got that feeling, but you deny it. You say, oh no, the world's going to keep on going like it is, always been going. It's not a good thing, that inner feeling, to deny that inner feeling and ignore it. Because it's telling you something. And you all know exactly what I'm talking about. Your inner gut feeling tells you that things cannot continue on like they're continuing right now. That we are in a descending... We're coming in, we're like an airplane that has lost all of its fuel and its engines are went out, and but it's still gliding. It's still got some altitude. That's what we're like right now, but it's obvious that the engines are out and they ain't going to restart. And so what kind of a landing are we going to come in for? Are we going to crash? Or is the pilot going to be able to put the airplane down safe or not? We're all hanging in the air up there, descending right now. And that's what your gut's telling you. And you guys can see it. You guys know it. I've been on this channel pointing it out to you guys, how there's trouble coming, big time trouble. And I can't tell you exactly how it's going to play out though. or when. But if you guys been with me from the start of this channel until now, you guys have seen the disintegration in real time and how much we've already been through a lot of trouble. Well, COVID, for crying out loud, you know, and these wars and stuff, and the new normal's we've never really had a new normal since COVID, since 2020. Unless you want to call the new normal people not having any money to spend on anything, trying to hard to make the front of the month meet the end of the month for the money that they have. All these wars, strange weather phenomenon. I mean, I was just talking to a lady about an hour or two ago. She was at work, and I was talking to her for a second, you know, casually, like the typical talking about the weather or whatever, you know, and I was mentioning how we don't have any spring or summer anymore. It just, one day you get your air conditioner running, and the next day you get your heater running. It flips that quick. We don't get summer. I mean, we don't get fall and spring anymore. All we get is winter and summer leads right up until one day later it's winter. I'm talking about temperature-wise. At least here in Nova Scotia, that's the way it is now. It used to be, we used to get like 30, 40 days where the temperature's just right, and you didn't have to turn the air conditioner on, you didn't have to turn the heater on. And now I also got talking to her and saying how that we don't just have tornadoes now in the Midwest like we used to. Now we're getting these new tornado alleys forming, like one up in southern Ontario and another one up in Quebec, and getting them up in around the Great Lakes, and we're getting them up in around New York region and stuff. They're knocking trees down, knocking houses down in places we never had tornadoes before. You used to get the big tornadoes out in the Midwest, and you get the occasional water spout type tornado or land spout type tornado in around Florida, you know, but nothing real serious, you know. Generally it'd wreck a shed or something, you know, in Florida. Small tornadoes in Florida, and the big ones out in the Midwest. Now you get them everywhere, not just in those two regions across the United States. They can pop up anywhere now. Things are a-changing. Thank you guys for listening to my show. And we'll catch you guys, I'm going to say on Sunday, because this is the way it is. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.